Okay, picture this. It's 2026. Somewhere out there, right this second, there's a 22-year-old sitting cross-legged on their couch with just a laptop. They've got no investors, no fancy corner office, no expensive suits, and literally zero elite industry connections. But, and here's the crazy part, they're building a company that's going to be worth millions in just 3 years. How? Well, because they have one solid idea, and they were willing to learn 5 core skills that, frankly, almost nobody teaches you in school. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to break down exactly how this is actually done. We'll walk through the blueprint together, step by step, to see how to start a company, build a product, sell it, market it, and really think like the founders who are already out there winning. So let's just dive right in. So here's our unlearning playbook for today. We're going to cover the 2026 founder reality, the 4 core business skills you need, the psychology of selling, building with AI teammates, and finally, creating a sustainable company.
All right, Section 1. The 2026 founder reality, a whole new era.
You know, the old way of doing things tells you that starting a company is all about, like, registering a legal name, spending weeks agonizing over a logo design, and constantly pitching investors to raise funds. But let's look at the 2026 reality. A company is simple this: solving one specific problem for one specific person who is actually willing to pay to solve it. That's literally it. That is the stripped-down bare-bones truth of what defines a business today. Everything else, the flashy website, the branding, the complicated corporate structure, that all only comes after that one single sentence is true.
Moving on to Section 2, 4 core business skills. What to actually learn.
It really all comes down to 4 foundational skills. First up, you absolutely must know your customer's pain. Like, who exactly are they, and what's keeping them up at night? Second, you need a solid grasp on product building basics. You have to understand how to actually create, or at least commission, the solution. Third, you've got to understand how money moves. This means figuring out pricing, knowing your costs inside and out, and really grasping what profit actually means in the real world. And fourth, clear communication. Why? Because honestly, every single founder is, at their heart, a salesperson and a storyteller. If you master these 4 areas, man, the rest is just details. Let's hit Section 3, the psychology of selling. Selling a transformation. Here is a golden rule. People do not buy products. They buy a better version of themselves. When you're out there selling, it is never, ever about listing some boring checklist of features. Selling is about painting an after picture, you know? You're showing someone a vision of their life where they are faster, richer, calmer, more respected, or just way less stressed out once their problem is finally gone. You are selling the transformation, definitely not just the tool. So how do we actually put that psychology into practice? Well, it's through 3 repeatable steps. Step 1, ask about the pain before you even think about pitching. Find out what's genuinely hurting them. Step 2, connect your product directly to that pain, but use their words, not your fancy industry jargon. And step 3, remove the risk. Offer free trials, ironclad guarantees, or strong testimonials. The absolute crucial point here is this: most sales don't fail because of the price tag. No, they fail simply because the buyer just didn't feel safe enough to say yes.
And that brings us to a really unique challenge of the modern era: digital products. No touch means no trust by default. Because a buyer can't physically hold a digital product in their hands, they're naturally going to be skeptical. So proof has to step in and replace that physical touch. You build this trust with things like screenshots of real results, reviews from actual users, and quick little demos showing the product in action. And here's the real kicker. Digital buyers make decisions incredibly fast. We're talking often in under 60 seconds. That means your first 10 seconds, your headline, your thumbnail, your opening sentence, those carry way more weight than anything else you'll ever write to secure that trust. Now, let's talk marketing. There's really only one rule that matters here, and that's the rule of 1. Marketing isn't about just shouting louder than everyone else on every single channel. It's actually about extreme focus. You pick one platform, you share one consistent message about the exact problem you solve, and in the beginning, you track only one single metric: how many strangers actually learn your name. Honestly, everything else is just background noise until that single number starts moving. Okay, Section 4, building with AI teammates. Meet your new teammates. Listen, the tech barrier doesn't need to scare you away anymore. In 2026, you absolutely do not need to be an engineer. First, you just describe what you want in plain, everyday language to an AI coding assistant. Next, the AI literally builds the first working version for you.
Then you ship the smallest possible version that solves the core problem. No crazy extra bells and whistles, just the basics. You get just 5 real users to try it out. And finally, you improve it based entirely on the feedback of what they actually struggle with, not what you just assume they might need. But we do have to be really clear about AI's role here. AI is your first teammate, definitely not your replacement for human judgment. Successful founders are using AI across their entire business, right? They use it to draft their first marketing posts, to answer customer questions instantly, and to crunch the data on what users are doing inside their app. But the founders who are really winning, they aren't just blindly letting the AI run the show. They direct it, they double-check its work before it ever goes out the door. It's a collaboration, not a total handover. And our final section, Section 5, creating a sustainable company, building something to last. You know, a good product does not automatically equal a good company. A genuinely good company requires 3 distinct pillars to stay standing long term. First, it needs a culture that people simply don't want to leave. Second, it needs organic word-of-mouth referrals from customers who love your stuff so much they basically sell it for you. And third, and guys, this is probably the most important, it requires a founder who fiercely protects their own energy just as carefully as they protect the company bank account. I want to emphasize this explicitly. Founder burnout kills far more startups than competitors ever do. Okay, let's bring this all together with a quick, rapid-fire recap. To win in this new era, here is your entire game plan. Ready? Find a real problem. Learn your customer. Understand your product. Know your money. Master communication. Remember to always, always sell transformation, not features. Build digital trust through proof. Market smart by focusing on the rule of 1. Use AI to build and run those daily tasks. And finally, protect the company by protecting yourself from burnout. If you have those 10 things dialed in, you've got yourself a modern company. Notice how literally nothing we just covered requires money you don't have or some fancy degree you didn't get. It just requires learning a few key skills. Building $1 million company isn't reserved for some elite exclusive group of people anymore. It's reserved for whoever actually starts. The old barriers are completely gone, and taking that very first step is the only real hurdle left in 2026. So the only question left to answer is, will it be you?